Well, welcome one and all to Bike Racing Without Mercy in the beautiful city of Varese for the UCI Gran Fondo Tre Valli Varesine. 120 kilometers, 2,300 meters of climbing, plus proper serious bike race this. There's elite cyclists, team cars and all that kind of stuff. I'm in the 45 to 49 age group, really looking forward to it, but at the same time proper nervous. Going to be recording the race on the front camera on the bike, that's all, but looking forward to it. And what a place to sign on. Got my number, got my chip, the level of concern is rising.
Ciclismo su strada principalmente con tanti eventi.
And for those who like their bikes understated.
Alessandro, quando sei pronto ci spostiamo. Please.
He's a little bit cheeky, isn't he?
Well, look what I just stumbled across at my hotel. It's a support for those with talent, definitely not for the 45 to 49-year-old mammals. Plenty of support though, look at that. Well, yesterday's recce of the route was a big one, burning off 3,000 calories. So today, Saturday, ahead of the race tomorrow, recovering large has been on my mind. Starting with a big old breakfast, 3 eggs, loads of carbohydrates. The recovery is continuing apace this afternoon and this evening, as you'll see, embracing the Italian lifestyle with the focaccia romana con pomodori. I mean, look at this. And these tomatoes, I can confirm, are succulent and sweet. Check this out. This is the good life. Tonight's carb up is flavoured Zen. From Chris Froome's breakaway to win the stage of the Giro d'Italia on the Col de Finestra and ultimately the Giro itself, I learned the value of rice in the pre-race carb up. So rice it is. Well, in true bike racing without mercy style, chaos reigns. This is the 50 to 54 race pen. I can get into that, but I can't get into my pen, the 45 to 49. So I'm just going to see what happens, see if I can filter in after the 45 to 49 roll out. Mental note, next time, get there a little bit earlier. Check that out. You've got to admire the persistence there. That is one intricate manoeuvre. Oh, and another one goes through it too. Literally. I love all things Italian, but this is sheer madness. Chaos at its absolute finest. Literally 120 kilometers, 2,300 meters of climbing on that much water and no bars. I have good news. We formed up. I'm in the right pen. But I'm at the back. I'm at the back. Is this us moving? I've got no idea.
It was indeed us moving, or me nearly moving, and whilst 250 mammals aged 45 to 49 completed either the Media Fondo or the Gran Fondo, it felt like many more than 250 lined up in the start pen, all like me, fighting off our midlife crises. Proper schoolboy error starting from the back. I mean, everybody knows to get in a Zwift pen early. Anyway, from the Haute Route Dolomites, as you've seen, I'm well practiced in moving up from the back and riding around and not through the real-life Homo sapien avatars. Zwift is, after all, only a game, please do remember. Personally, I cannot think of a better way to undertake a tour of a city. I mean, stick your big bus tours where the sun don't shine. High on the carbs, the caffeine and the Italian dolce vita, I applied the power with intent. A lot of moving up was done in the furious first 20 minutes, to the chaos but not the carnage of the first climb. I massively recommend this event. Stick it atop your cycling bucket list. A truly epic display of all that is bella in Italia, with passion, carbon and colour played out in a fantastico, undulating and mesmerising closed road parcours. providing a bounty of speed, challenge, exhilaration, adrenaline and endorphins. It's truly inclusive, offering terrain for all tastes. The climbers, the diesels, the downhill missiles and of course the puncheurs. And clocking in at 125 kilometres with 2,200 metres of elevation, it's the perfect distance to have a grand day out. Open up the taps, let it rip, potato chip. No danger of this turning into an endurance fest. I kept saying to myself, just get up to at least one more group, Philip. But the legs, well, they felt diamonds, so rinse and repeat was the name of the game.
I found a nice group to draft to the first climb now.
Sounds as satisfying as a Ferrari accelerating through a tunnel, doesn't it?
2246 is dragging me to the next group. Nice one, 2246.
It's an uphill drag to Alpe d'Huez, the first climb, so while the draft felt good, the need to press on prevailed because I knew that the flats and the descents that awaited could be expensive for me time-wise.
The Eagle has landed. The first and longest climb, about 4.5 kilometres, is incoming. We merge off to the right here.
214 watts average and 249 normalised simply doesn't do justice to the perceived effort and exhilaration invested to get to the base of the first climb. I mean, I thought I was giving Filippo Ganna a run for his money.
We're going to settle in at threshold. About 270.
In just a moment. And now, really time to settle in and find a rhythm. With closed roads and loads of carrots to chase, the rhythm was upbeat. This is a lovely miniature alpine climb comprising 6 hairpins winding up over 4.3 kilometres at 7% gradient, all very digestible. And the Minehead CC Porlock Toll Road hill climb event 2 weeks prior had prepared me well. Speaking of good energy and la dolce vita, this is the kind of event that Chris Miller and Jesse Coyle, they of the Nero Show, regularly smash. And as you'll see, this race is so good that I reckon they should make a pilgrimage to Varesine 1 October.
On your right.
A number of these, including the guy in the white bibs, go back past me on the descent, but on the next climb I gradually reel them back in. Wait and see.
On your right. Ciao. Ciao, ciao.
In my own mind, I'd felt that I'd made my way back up towards the top 25% of the 45 to 49 field by now. My delusion knows literally no bounds.
That was proper on.
I dispatched a climb in 16 minutes, averaging 282 watts, 16.3 kmh.
Ciao, ciao.
Incredible and uplifting support from the locals throughout the entire event, start to finish. But now it was time for a little bit of payback on the descent, where I got passed by the many and not the few. Definitely my descending's improved. It's a lot more fluid, but it isn't ultra rapid. Therefore I kept a nice tight line on the inside to make it easy for people to pass.
Grazie. Grazie.
Mr. Bianco Bib Shorts, show me who's boss.
I'm losing quite a lot of places on the descending. Fuck me.
Generally the descending was really good and respectful, but From the view, it was a little bit agricultural at times. Speaking of city tours earlier, this is the only way, and I do mean the only way, to tour the Great Lakes of Italy.
I could do being in a group here, but I'm just going to ride my race. And as if by magic, the diesel engines arrive.
And now time for the little cyclists, aka me, to steal a sly piggyback from the big boys.
All kinds of energy being saved. Albeit not without its risk premium.
It's not really theft of watts, I'm sure you'll understand. It's simply business, cycling business.
Second climb, incoming, 2.2 kilometres. At normal grade it's like 6-7%, then it shallows off for 4. Grazie.
I guesstimated that if I rode a consistent threshold power, I'd reel back in the diesel engines who just departed hot and likely a tad too hard. Exception of course that obviously this little burst was not threshold. As Hannibal would say, I love it when a plan comes together. Signor Bianco, good to see you again. Ciao, ciao, ciao. Legs and lungs A-OK at this stage. Diesel engine alert, diesel engine. And with a nice little flourish on the pedals, vectoring in at the top of the climb. 9 minutes 35, 275 watts, about 18 kilometers an hour. And after a very brief descent, a 4-kilometer shallow gradient climb to follow, albeit with a very bad road surface, as you'll see. I threw caution to the wind and hit this at ramming speed. And for your entertainment, the Tre Valli Gran Fondo Varesine lays on a little bit more Italian chaos. It ebbed and flowed throughout the whole 4 km. I was on and off the power. It felt very much like a crit race. Including the first 2 kilometres, the whole climb took just under 17 minutes, 22 kilometres an hour, about 235 watts all in. And then for a luxurious and fast section on good tarmac, moving up a couple of groups on the road in order to get back on track with our Italian sightseeing adventure.
Grazie, ciao. Grazie, grazie.
Is there anything better than smoking through historic villages and towns with crumbling walls, winding roads and passages, plus oodles of intrigue? Strappetto, strappetto!
Ciao, ciao. Ciao. Here comes some diesel train.
Time for definitely not stealing other people's watts. It's definitely not stealing. It's cycling business, and the Self-Preservation Society was in full swing.
Gonna hit you this.
This is, after all, an Italian job.
I'm staying on top of the eating and drinking.
As I say, you can keep your big bus tours or gentle hikes. This is cyclotourism without mercy. Speaking of which,
Holy shit! How impressive is that?
With our man piloting his incredible machine at the fulcrum of the peloton, it was time to negotiate the next climb. Not too short, not too long. Goldilocks. This is the first time I'd ridden in groups of other cyclists since the accident back in May 22, and I was finding my confidence, rather enjoying it. Time, I thought, to get a closer look at this contraption come Exocet missile.
Nice one.
This was a great group, but unfortunately my GoPro battery was on fumes. And for me personally, artistic output favours improvements to the minor. Can they even be seen with the naked eye placings?
Right, a nasty steep climb is incoming.
So I stopped to invest 90 seconds in a battery swap. As an FYI, I won't do this on a move because I don't want to put anyone else at risk. As you can see, Bedro to Villaggio Olandese is a delightfully placed but little brute of an ascent, and it was certainly fitting that the UK hill climb season across the channel was well underway. But for the little people, time to make up some places and hopefully get back to the diesel engines I'd just let go earlier.
Go through the middle. Cheers.
Reeling people back in, but not quite yet. The diesels dearly departed. They come later. The breathing was intense, but the legs were good, as was the tarmac. Way better asphalt than in the Lake District of Porlock, let alone the Densera climb in Ibiza. See a previous video for that. And this in turn makes a massive difference on the steep stuff. You can stay in the saddle for longer and turn that good cadence. Another decent climb for me, just over 5 minutes on the Strava segment, but for all of the climbing, just under 6 minutes on Training Peaks. Either way, 288 watts and about 12.5 kilometres an hour.
Don't tired.
And to boot, a wonderful medieval reward on the descent.
Mille grazie, mille grazie. Oops. This is difficult, what's coming. Oh, woo-wee! Trying to get into a group here, put a flat.
And here, I hitch a lift to get back with the diesel engines. You'll see the one with the black and white zebra jersey shortly. Keep your eye on the guy in the bright Astana blue because he features for the rest of the race. For the privilege of hanging with this group on the flat to come, I had to stay with them on the descent. But luckily, it didn't get too leery. People kept nice, safe lines and therefore all was well. And my reward for the descent, the swoosh of carbon cutting through the sweet, sweet air. Just after here, I tried a bad bunny hop over a sleeping policeman and lost my only remaining water bottle with anything in it. Proper parched I was by the end of this. I respect our man in blue on his BMC's attention to detail. Colour coordination supreme. He tries to give us a slip here, but the carbs in my system remain vigilant and on stream, so I respond, and we bridge across to a powerhouse. This is the final run to the climb that takes us back into the city of Varesine, and it's imperative to get a draft, or alternatively, have big aero power. And with the powerhouse's work done and drained, I bid him a very grateful, truly grateful farewell. Remember, this isn't stealing watts, it really isn't stealing, promise, Scout's honour. And now the final climb back into the city centre. Shallow, steep, apply the power accordingly, and it gets, well, shall we say, a little bit exhilarating at times. Nice recovery. And here amongst us are the diesel engines, including the Zebra top that I left to change the battery for the GoPro. Yep, that was a Zebra top, nearly taking me out. So time now to accelerate up and out and find me some sanctuary. Things had calmed down and this was a small shallow section, so I laid off the power to conserve some energy for the steeper bits. Luck was with me today because once again I do love it when a plan comes together, because as you'll see in a moment I do reel all of these back in for a nice cinematic finish. You could just make out our man in blue on the horizon there. It becomes bigger very shortly. One more shallow and then another steep kicker before we hit the final flat and fast run in to the finish line in Varesine and glory. Well, the minor, can they even be seen with a naked eye placings kind of glory? With the endorphins flowing profusely, I'm now honing back in on our man in blue. And I know that all in this group have nice little kicks. Seven minutes 44, average power 251 watts, 22 kilometers an hour, and by my standards the legs lasted well. When in Italy from the spectators you do hear die, die, die quite a lot, and I thought there must be another meaning, but it really does mean perish. Whoops, that was a little bit friendly for my liking. And now, time to unleash my shock and awe sprint. And yes, you may say this is only adding in just a bit more power, but trust me, from the vantage point of the spectators, this is an impressive sprint.
Dear me, I massively enjoyed that, like so much. That was definitely, I think, the best outing on a bike in terms of the fitness and the power, the pacing and the eating that I've ever had. Didn't quite make the whole 125 kilometers, 2,200 meters of climbing it turned out. Didn't quite make it in just under 4 hours, about 4 hours, 1 minute or so, but super happy with that. Boy, oh boy, was it chaos at times. That's a real high to end the Gran Fondo season. Well, sometimes, just occasionally, Life gives you a very pleasant surprise. Check this out. 5 seconds under 4 hours. Woo-wee. That is proper cool. Look, 31.3 average speed. Definitely helped by there being no wind and some proper diesel engines to drag me along on the flats. Look at that. 231 watts normalised power over the just under. That's the just under. Let's not forget the 5 seconds just under 4 hours. Oh, dearie me. Oh, dearie me. What has gone on there? Left 53, right 47. Come on, it could have made it perfect today. 50-50, where are you? Where are you? And I now present to you two sides for sore eyes. Of course, Jane, but Jane armed with agua. So the climbers and the racers at last, it is bike racing without mercy after all. The agua spoils.